Welcome to this configuration tutorial for the Elements app's automotive use case. In this step-by-step guide, you will find how to configure our app Elements Connect. Let's talk first about the data source. We used a Jira project as data source, but it's important to note that this use case is possible with any external data source. We got our list of components available, one for each work item. We find in the details the fields we are going to use in the Element Connect configuration. Now, let's see how to create our data source in Elements Connect. Go to the Elements Connect admin in the Data Sources section. We create a REST API to fetch data from our Jira project. First, we put the base URL of the REST API from our Jira instance. It's not mandatory, but we can add the API documentation and an API test URL that will be useful later for the connection tester. We select an authentication mode, a basic auth to which we add the credentials required. Finally, we can test our connection to ensure it's correctly configured. Once our data source has been configured and saved, we can create our first connected field. Remember, the creation of the data source and the connected fields must be made in the other instance. We choose a custom field because they are fully integrated with Jira. We create our first parent field, component category, which will be included in the request forms. We choose Object because the parent must provide a stable identifier, the ID attribute, for queries on child fields, regardless of what is displayed. First, we specify in the path how our data will be retrieved. We create a query to retrieve the options available in the Component Category Custom field, available in the data source. Let's take a closer look. We don't need FreeMarker as this field has no dependencies. We indicate the path to our custom field. Next, the options for the component category are saved in its context. 12296 is its ID, which can be found in the URL among its parameters. You can find the ID of the context in the URL of this page. We don't need the live update feature because our value isn't supposed to change once it's selected. We can test our query to see what is our API response. We got results, which is great, but we want to focus on the Values field with the 5 items representing our options. So we go to the Filter section. Now we retrieve only the values as intended. ID and value are going to be used next in the Display section. ID is the dependency attribute, so we put the ID field from the configuration tester. Template is what we want to display in our field. We use the value field, the name of our options. We can save our custom field. Next, we are going to create our connected field component, which is dependent to component category. We select again a custom field type and a select list. and the object option as we want to store the ID for future dependencies. We activate FreeMarker to create a dynamic query. It is the strongest engine that brings the most possibilities in Elements Connect. Here is our query. Let's break it down. We're running a JQL query on Jira issues, limited on our Datasource project, call by his space key. We build the dependency by matching these two. Custom field 11846, component category in the Datasource, equals the ID selected in field 11882, the connect field we just created. This way, only components belonging to the chosen category are returned. Finally, we ask the API to return only the relevant fields. We filter with a JSON path. And we test. In FreeMarker, testing is made by choosing a project and a work item. We store the ID for this field. And this is the information we want to display. So we use this variable to retrieve it. And we can save our configuration. Now we can create our read-only fields, dependence on the component custom field. Our fields are read-only because we want them automatically set and no editable. And we can choose snapshot as they are child fields. Here is our FreeMarker query. We ask, if the field component has a value, retrieve the issue whose ID matches the one stored in the component field. This is the Field Expertise Center in the Datasource. We want to display the value of the custom field 11843. So here is our variable. Notice we use data instead of row because this is a read-only field. Finally, we can save our configuration and reuse it to create the others read-only fields. Our fields are ready, so we're going to link them to the portal and screens. We choose our project. Then we associate our field to screens. We can choose the tab where our field will be. Then we add our fields to the portal. Drag and drop the fields you need in your request form. You can also modify your work item view if needed. In the last step, we need to create a post function to automatically populate our fields at the issue creation. We choose the workflow from our request type and the transition. Create a new Perform Actions in the Rules section. Choose this rule from Elements Connect. Add all previously created fields. Save and update your workflow. All our fields are set up, and we can now configure our queue and SLAs. We want a critical queue. We use the Component Criticality field to mark all tickets with a component deemed critical. And we made the same for SLAs. Criticals ticket have a first response time of 2 hours, where basic tickets have 8 hours. Thanks for following this tutorials. Don't hesitate to check our other step-by-step guide on Elements Copy and Sync and Elements Overview.